morning. Thank you for joining me today. We had a nice weekend. Today, we're going to be in Leviticus chapter 7 already, through 7:28 through 9 verse 6. Yeah. Sometimes I pull my bookmark in front of where I was before. Okay. Leviticus 6 verse 1 through 7 verse 27. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, that's King James Version. When a person sins and commits a trespass against the Lord by deceiving his fellow citizen in regard to something held in trust, or a pledge, or something stolen, or by extorting something from his fellow citizen, or has found something lost and denies it, and swears falsely concerning any one of the things that someone might do to sin, when it happens that he sins and is found guilty, then he must return whatever he had stolen, or whatever he had extorted, or the thing that he had held in trust, or the lost thing that he had found, or anything about which he swears falsely. He must restore it in full, and add 1/5 to it. He must give it to its owner when he is found guilty. Then he must bring his guilt offering to the Lord, a flawless ram from the flock, convertible into silver shekels for a guilt offering to the priest. So the priest will make atonement on his behalf before the Lord, and he will be forgiven for whatever he has done to become guilty. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, command Aaron and his sons that this is the law of the burnt offering. The burnt offering is to remain on the hearth, on the altar, all night until morning, and the fire of the altar must be kept burning on it. Then the priest must put on his linen robe and must put linen leggings over his bare flesh, and he must take up the fatty ashes of the burnt offering that the fire consumed on the altar, and he must place them beside the altar. Then he must take off his clothes and put on other clothes, and he must bring the fatty ashes outside the camp to a ceremonially clean place. But the fire which is on the altar must be kept burning on it. It must not be extinguished. So the priest must kindle wood on it morning by morning, and he must arrange the burnt offering on it, and offer the fat of the peace offering up in smoke on it. A continual fire must be kept burning on the altar, and must not be extinguished. This is the law of the grain offering. The sons of Aaron are to present it before the Lord in front of the altar. And the priest must take up with his hand some of the choice wheat flour of the grain offering, and some of its olive oil, and all of the frankincense that is on the grain offering. And he must offer its memorial portion up in smoke on the altar as a soothing aroma to the Lord. Aaron and his sons are to eat what is left over from it. It must be eaten unleavened in a holy place. They are to eat it in the courtyard of the meeting tent. It must not be baked with yeast. I have given it as their portion for my gifts. It is most holy, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. Every male among the sons of Aaron may eat it. It is a perpetual allotted portion throughout your generations from the gifts of the Lord. Anyone who touches these gifts must be holy. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. This is the offering of Aaron and his sons, which they must present to the Lord on the day when he is anointed: 1/10 of an ephah of choice wheat flour, as a continual grain offering, half of it in the morning and half of it in the evening. It must be made with olive oil on a griddle, and you must bring it well soaked. So you must present a grain offering of broken pieces as a soothing aroma to the Lord. The high priest who succeeds him from among his sons must do it. It is a perpetual statute. It must be offered up in smoke as a whole offering to the Lord. Every grain offering of a priest must be a whole offering. It must not be eaten. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. Tell Aaron and his sons, this is the law of the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered, the sin offering must be slaughtered before the Lord. It is most holy. The priest who offers it for sin is to eat it. It must be eaten in a holy place, in the court of the meeting tent. Anyone who touches its meat must be holy, and whoever spatters some of its blood on a garment, you must wash whatever he spatters it on in a holy place. Any clay vessel it is boiled in must be broken, and if it was boiled in a bronze vessel, then that vessel must be rubbed out and rinsed in water. Any male among the priests may eat it, it is most holy, but any sin offering from which some of its blood is brought into the meeting tent to make atonement in the sanctuary must not be eaten, it must be burned up in the fire. This is the law of the guilt offering. It is most holy. In the place where they slaughter the burnt offering, they must slaughter the guilt offering, and the officiating priest must splash the blood against the altar's sides. Then the one making the offering must present all its fat, the fatty tail, the fat covering the entrails, the 2 kidneys, and the fat on their sinews, and the protruding lobe on the liver, which he must remove along with the kidneys. Then the priest must offer them up in smoke on the altar as a gift to the Lord. It is a guilt offering. Any male among the priests may eat it. It must be eaten in a holy place. It is most holy. The law is the same for the sin offering and the guilt offering. It belongs to the priest who makes atonement with it. As for the priest who presents someone's burnt offering, the hide of that burnt offering which he presented belongs to him. Every grain offering which is baked in the oven, or made in the pan, or on the griddle belongs to the priest who presented it. Every grain offering, whether mixed with olive oil or dry, belongs to all the sons of Aaron, each one alike. This is the law of the peace offering sacrifice which he is to present to the Lord. If he presents it on account of thanksgiving, along with the thank offering sacrifice, he must present unleavened loaves mixed with olive oil, unleavened wafers smeared with olive oil, and well-soaked ring-shaped loaves made of choice wheat flour mixed with olive oil. He must present this grain offering in addition to ring-shaped loaves of leavened bread, which regularly accompany the sacrifice of his thanksgiving peace offering. He must present one of each kind of grain offering as a contribution offering to the Lord. It belongs to the priest who splashes the blood of the peace offering. The meat of his thanksgiving peace offering must be eaten on the day of his offering. He must not set any of it aside until morning. If his offering is a votive or free will sacrifice, it may be eaten on the day he presents his sacrifice, and also the leftovers from it may be eaten on the next day. But the leftovers from the meat of the sacrifice must be burned up in the fire on the 3rd day. If some of the meat of his peace offering sacrifice is ever eaten on the 3rd day, it will not be accepted. It will not be accounted to the one who presented it, since it is spoiled, and the person who eats from it will bear his punishment for iniquity. The meat which touches anything ceremonially unclean must not be eaten. It must be burned up in the fire. As for ceremonially clean meat, everyone who is ceremonially clean may eat the meat. The person who eats meat from the peace offering sacrifice which belongs to the Lord, while his uncleanness persists, will be cut off from his people. When a person touches anything unclean, whether human uncleanness, or an unclean animal, or an unclean detestable creature, and eats some of the meat of the peace offering sacrifice which belongs to the Lord, that person will be cut off from his people. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, you must not eat any fat of any ox, sheep, or goat. Moreover, the fat of an animal that has died of natural causes, and the fat of an animal torn by beasts may be used for any other purpose, but you must certainly never eat it. If anyone eats fat from the animal from which he presents a gift to the Lord, that person will be cut off from his people. And you must not eat any blood of the birds or the domesticated land animals in any of the places where you live. Any person who eats any blood, that person will be cut off from his people." Yeah. Leviticus 7, verse 12. If he presents it on account of thanksgiving, that is, the peace offering sacrifice, along with the thank offering sacrifice, he must present unleavened loaves mixed with olive oil, unleavened wafers smeared with olive oil, and well-soaked ring-shaped loaves made of choice wheat flour mixed with olive oil. And 13 clarifies more. In addition to ring-shaped loaves of leavened bread, which regularly accompany the sacrifice of his Thanksgiving peace offering. Sounds like little donuts. um, I guess one other thing. It kind of reminds me of if you've ever taken a job with a semi-complex work system that, like, you have to kind of study the general practices of the business to, like, as a requirement for you having the job, like what the daily practices are. In that same way, it seems to me kind of just a little bit overwhelming of the book of Leviticus, in the same way that the daily practices don't make a whole lot of sense. Rather, not. They're a little bit difficult to completely grasp if you're not doing them every day. So, okay, carrying on. Mark chapter 3, verses 7 through 30. Then Jesus went away with his disciples to the sea, and a great multitude from Galilee followed him, and from Judea, Jerusalem, Idumea, beyond the Jordan River, and around Tyre and Sidon, a great multitude came to him when they heard about the things he had done. Because of the crowd, he told his disciples to have a small boat ready for him, so that the crowd would not press toward him, for he had healed many, so that all who were afflicted with diseases pressed toward him in order to touch him. And whenever the unclean spirits saw him, they fell down before him and cried out, "You are the Son of God!" But he sternly ordered them not to make him known. Now Jesus went up the mountain and called for those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12, whom he named apostles, so that they would be with him, and he could send them to preach, and to have authority to cast out demons. He appointed 12. To Simon he gave the name Peter, to James and his brother John, the sons of Zebedee, he gave the name Boanerges, that is, sons of thunder. And Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. Now Jesus went home, and a crowd gathered so that they were not able to eat. When his family heard this, they went out to restrain him, for they said, "He is out of his mind." The experts in the law who came down from Jerusalem said, "He is possessed by Beelzebul, and by the ruler of demons he casts out demons." So he called them and spoke to them in parables. How can Satan cast out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom will not be able to stand. If a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. And if Satan rises against himself and is divided, he is not able to stand, and his end has come. But no one is able to enter a strong man's house and steal his property unless he first ties up the strong man. Then he can thoroughly plunder his house. I tell you the truth, people will be forgiven for all sins, even all the blasphemies they utter. But whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven, but is guilty of an eternal sin, because they said he has an unclean spirit. Yeah, Jesus didn't have, well, a completely peaceful relationship with his family. I can't remember which gospel it was, but one of his brothers was like, "Hey, are you gonna go up to the feast?" And he was like, "You go up to the feast," and his brother's like, "Okay," and then he follows secretly after him. So, rather, I think Jesus said something to the extent of, "You are of the world, and so the world loves you." Also, interesting note here, trivia, I suppose. In Mark 3:22, the experts in the law claim that he was possessed by Beelzebul, which the word Beelzebul, um, you might know what Baal means. It's Lord, and Zebul is of the house. Some Jews afterwards nicknamed it Beelzebub, that is Lord of the Flies. So, yeah, it's a way of mocking the common deity of the time, I guess. Okay, carrying on here. Psalm chapter 37, verses 1 through 11. A psalm of David. Do not fret when wicked men seem to succeed. Do not envy evildoers, for they will quickly dry up like grass and wither away like plants. Trust in the Lord and do what is right. Settle in the land and maintain your integrity. Then you will take delight in the Lord, and he will answer your prayers. Commit your future to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act on your behalf. He will vindicate you in broad daylight and publicly defend your just cause. Wait patiently for the Lord. Wait confidently for him. Do not fret over the apparent success of a sinner, a man who carries out wicked schemes. Do not be angry and frustrated. Do not fret. That only leads to trouble. Wicked men will be wiped out, but those who rely on the Lord are the ones who will possess the land. Evil men will soon disappear. You will stare at the spot where they once were, but they will be gone. But the oppressed will possess the land and enjoy great prosperity. Yeah, Psalm 37, verses 1 and 2. Do not fret when evil men seem to succeed. Do not envy evildoers, for they will quickly dry up like grass and wither away like plants. Even though sometimes it seems like evil people get away with stuff and all of their evil schemes, the end result is that they're going to face eternal punishment for what they did. So, best not to envy that. Proverbs chapter 10, verses 3 and 4. The Lord satisfies the appetite of the righteous, but he thwarts the craving of the wicked. The one who is lazy becomes poor, but the one who works diligently becomes wealthy. Okay, well, thank you for joining me today. Definitely appreciate it. Take care.